This video is going to have a few different things in it, but there was one article I saw which quite interested me. So basically this person's putting a comment in saying, well, you know, if you're going to go on about elongated headed people, look at the change which happened from monkeys to humans. So our brain would have gone through rather a lot of changes. So how do you explain the significance of these changes? I thought that was very well put. Yes, former science teacher until 2017. Thank you, Mark. Anyway, let's just put the video on. I thought that was good. Good answer. And a science teacher. How brilliant's that? Yes, even he can see it. And he's retired now, so he can say what he likes. And then someone else said that the Rothschilds, this guy had an elongated head. I don't know, but he's got a big head. And he's very like his ancestor, isn't he? Cool. Except the ancestor's got hair and he hasn't. And then I saw this. Oh, this person made... Let's have a look. Let's go back to it because we'll go over it. This person here made a programme on the television. It's quite incredible, really, because we're under Thames Water here. And just before Christmas, they announced that they were kind of bankrupt. And you think all the money that they have off of you, and they haven't invested the money back into the water companies. And the other thing that's very strange is that he said that a lot of these companies have not put any money in since the 1950s. So what's happened is that they've taken all your money. The only thing they're interested in is the shareholders, and they've not reinvested the money back into the water companies, and the water companies are spilling it all into the sea. And people are becoming ill that way because obviously they're swallowing it and it's got poo in it. It's disgusting. And he isn't the only one that's done it, because obviously other people have. This is somewhere else. This is another one who've been talking about sewage going into our rivers and into the water. And all along, they're taking the money. I just think this is what they're about. They just want, for some reason, say 20 billion isn't enough. They have to have 20 million isn't enough. They want 20 billion, and they keep going and they keep going. And I understand that if you've got a business and you've got all the people that have got the shares in it, I understand that, but not to invest. I mean, how old are some of these pipes in there? I mean, I've made a video the other day showing that they put lead pipes in the 1400s. How old are some of these pipes? And they haven't reinvested or put new pipes in or whatever. And he decided to drop all this stuff into a river with all the press there, and they all thought it was real poo. He put stink bombs out, and of course the water, there's nothing wrong with the water, but he just wanted to show people, would you like this? Let's tip it in your water here. Because this is what they're doing. He's just shown that they are, the only thing they're interested in, all these companies, is the shareholders. It's disgusting. Anyway, this one was quite interesting. This is in the 1990s. Hundreds of mummified bodies were found buried in boats in hospitable desert area in northwest China. I can't say that word, by the way. Known as the Tarim Basin mummies. They have now been genetically examined, and scientists have narrowed down the origins of the mysterious mummies. The results are quite surprising. I think we do have that bit of information. There we go. So the mummies' bodies and clothing strikingly intact despite being up to 4,000 years old, having been discovered. Wow. They keep finding these bodies and they're getting older and older. I mean, that looks like a doll. That's supposed to be a human being. Look, she's got a hat on and everything. Wow. Anyway, you can stop any of this information and look at it. Woolen clothing. Wow, God, in the desert. Wow. Anyway, there's a little bit of information there. And I came across a few more, so I stuck them in, which we'll get to in a minute, but those are about the mummies. So that one said that shackled skeleton identified as rare evidence of slavery. Rutland, oh, I think that's Denmark. Over there it is. Anyway, new study provides evidence that, oh, let's go back to a bit quick, wasn't it? Stop that there. Back. Next one. Just get back to the next one. A new study providing evidence that modern humans coexisted in some regions with Neanderthals for thousands of years. Wow, I could have looked at them all, but those are the headlines. I just took them off the internet the other day. They were just all sitting there. So that one, 1300-year-old stone sculpture from Turkey. 1,300 years old. There you go, another one there, basically saying the Roman times, but that piece was signatured. And that one there, 2,000-year-old ancient Greek graduate school yearbook carved in stone. There's just so much that we don't know. We've just got to see it and look at it. Look at that. So which one's this? This might go back. Oh, that's Swiss. That's a Swiss town. That's another one. Let's go back to that one. There you go. Another one. Years old in the Swiss town of Pully. 6,500 years old. And a mysteriously partially submerged structure in Ireland is a prehistoric tomb. Amazing that it's still there after all these years then. And there you go, a bit more information there. Oh, so this place here, this is quite a lot on this bit here. So you've got all the keys, and it seems that this one was built first and they don't use it anymore. I don't think it's wide enough, and now they've put this one in. But I think this one was built in the 80s and it's sagging, so they don't use bits of it anyway. And also there was a train part. Well, we'll come across that bit in a minute because it's all a bit confusing. But I hadn't realised that people lived out there on those little bits of land. I mean, it's quite beautiful. The water's obviously not that deep there. I mean, that bridge looks quite old. The 7 Mile Bridge. There's a bit missing on that one. I forget the reason why they say that they've taken that bit out, but you can walk along it. It just won't take cars. I mean, it's quite incredible though, isn't it? But I think also one of the bridges wasn't wide enough. I suppose that doesn't look very good, does it? Yeah, abandoned again, just leave it there. So obviously that's down by Florida, but I was quite intrigued by that because I was actually looking at Fort Jefferson, and even that I can't, but anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. There you go. So what does that one say? It said, oh, let's stop it. It says, today the modern 7 Mile Bridge is in regular use, connecting people and goods from Miami to the Key West. There is also a project underway to restore the old 7 Mile Bridge. That says in 2008, but I don't know if it's been done or not because it doesn't say, and that's old. I mean, I was just looking at pictures, and obviously people can walk on it. But it's quite a feat, isn't it, putting this bridge in? Oh, it's been used in films. Here we go, let's have a look at this one. The vast majority of the original bridge still exists, although the swing pan has been removed. The 2.2, 3.5 kilometre section to Pigeon quay used as a fishing pier and long open to the modernised vehicles to give access to the quay was closed for motorised traffic in 2008 after the unsupported section began to sag. So that's why they closed it down and then built another one. Just masses of money, like the water companies. All about money. Not about us, just about the money. But the water rose maybe hundreds of years ago. Doesn't look very deep there, the water. It's the 8th wonder of the world after its completion in the 1900s when they put the first one in. And then another one here in 1938. 1982, but that's the one they've closed. And there you go, it talks there. Let's stop it there. It talks here. So the old Severn Bridge, originally constructed in the early 1900s as part of the Henry Flagler's Florida East Key Railway, Key West Extension, also known as the Overseas Railway. Oh my God, get it right. Railroad. In the early 1980s, this bridge was no longer used for vehicular traffic when the new bridge was constructed. So there was a railway one there, then the car one that's not used, and then they've built another one. So much money. But just interesting, because you never know these things. You just don't know these things. It was opened in 1912. 800 keys there are, that's a lot. There it goes again, cost 60 million in 1972. I just love spending our money on things that don't last. They just don't care. Oh, it'll be abandoned in a few years, so it won't matter anyway. I just want them to go. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing once you see all this stuff. Embarrassing. They need to just go. Haven't you got enough money, or you just got digits? Because there isn't really any real money. You've just got digits. Anyway, I think I've looked at it before, but then I just saw some pictures of it and I thought, well, that's quite interesting. There you go. And that part of the bridge was washed away in a hurricane. I just thought that was a bit interesting, and it's down there. Oh, I put that one in, but it's down there in Florida. And then of course I'm going to go to Jefferson in a minute, and that I'm even more amazed about, because I've done a video on that. And basically the thing was built, and the prisoners built it. And what it is here it is. Prisoners built it. They turned it into a prison. And that thing there, after spending all this money and carting all those bricks there, never saw any duty as a military, never fired guns. And then I think one of the people there, something happened with the mosquitoes because of the way they were collecting water, because obviously there's no fresh running water there, does it? And then he saved their lives and he got pardoned, and he's the famous person that was there, but it was a prison. It's just unbelievable. Look at all that on there, and then they say that it never saw service. It didn't fire guns. And there are some lighthouses there. I think that one's on a small bit of land, but Loggerhead Lighthouse is another one, and they're not too far away from Fort Jefferson. They're saying it was built in 1846, probably 1646. They're just lying again about the times. There it is. That's that person there. Let's stop it. Ugh. He was in... jumped on, didn't it? Of course. He was imprisoned, and then... yeah, and then he saved the people, and then he got a pardon. I just thought, why have they built all these star forts? I never really thought they were forts to fire, but they've added the guns and things to it. But why? Oh, let's go back to this bit here. Why lie all the time? That's what I say. And then today, this morning when I was having breakfast, I was watching my abandoned history. This place came up, Chacabuco, something like that, in Chile. And so they explain that they have cinemas there, they have these things there, but then something changed, and then they noticed that basically it was a prison, and they put these people out there and they were farming for nitrates, for fertilizers. Anyway, we're going to listen to a little bit of this video because obviously they explain it a bit better than me, and hope that YouTube don't get funny over it.
When you look around the perimeter, you see that people took the trouble to put minefields down.
This place was designed with a utopian vision of the future, but by the end, it became a nightmare.
Local researcher Luis Enrique Silva Guerrero knows the difficulties of living in this harsh climate.
Looking to the horizon, north, south, east and west, the only thing you see is dryness. It isn't a place that calls man to settle down here. It's very hostile.
It would have been no small feat to basically build this site. There's almost no natural resources to sustain itself on its own.
And yet there has to have been something there in the ground that makes it worthwhile. But what exactly was it?
If you know what to look for, the reason for Chacabuco's existence is in plain sight.
Over there, you can see the deposits of nitrate.
In the early 19th century, it was discovered that nitrates known as saltpeter were a miracle fertilizer.
Here, the concentration of saltpeter was actually at the surface, so it was very, very easy to mine.
The raw material went through those tunnels into the crushing machine, and once it was crushed in fine pieces, it was transported to that building over there.
These huge vats of boiling water were used to gradually dissolve the chemicals out of the pulverized rocks.
All of these pipes and networks and so on are part of this process by which you're able to try and purify the ore, then essentially reprocess along different sections to completely purify the final product.
With a global intensification in agriculture, the demand for saltpeter skyrocketed. Chacabuco became a boom town.
To me, all I saw again was it was another abandoned town. They make these towns and then they abandon them. They make them and they abandon them. And as most things are run by the UK or whatever it is, or whoever it is, but somewhere we seem to be in there quite a lot because we seem to have owned it all or whatever. It's just incredible. This one's in Chile. Same thing. Another place abandoned. Just leave it out there and let it rot away, and it doesn't really matter. But it does. It matters enormously that everything's abandoned. Castles, buildings, farms, houses, schools, hospitals, millions of them, all abandoned, and we are living amongst that. Anyway, let's carry on with the video.
But corporate surveillance was nothing compared to what came next.
Before too long, this community became something very different, a darker place.
The last kind of vestiges of life that you can see in and around the buildings is the graffiti. And this is graffiti of a very political nature.
In 1938, the industry here ground to a halt, and the town was left to the elements. But in 1973, everything changed.
Well, I thought the that I was going to get a bit of this. So we'll see what happens, because there's only one on here, and that's that 52. That's 2 minutes there that is copyrighted, even though this is up here and it's fine, but for this bit it has to be copyrighted, so I have to break in and add a bit to the video to cover up the copyright problem. Only a problem on YouTube, nowhere else it's a problem, but just here there has to be a problem. So I'm going to break in a couple of times, because hopefully it gets rid of the copyright thing. It's so boring. I think this is a breaking in night, because I've had to do it on my Statue of Liberty one. Everywhere else is fine except YouTube that has mega problems. It is a problem unto itself, really. Gillian's told me that the media is breaking down and people are not going to the cinema and things like that. I say bring it on, because it's about time the whole lot went. Maybe it's starting to happen. Maybe it's starting to break down, and this is why they have to have all the fake things, because everybody's looking at that rather than the fact that it's breaking down. Anyway, I think that's long enough for this video, and I'm going to do another one because it just covers up the stupid copyright thing.
Allegedly with support from the CIA, a right-wing group launched a coup. Their leader, Augusto Pinochet.
Augusto Pinochet was a ruthless dictator. He controlled Chile in a way that was brutal. It was repressive.
Pinochet's political opponents could be anyone, but it could also be their families and even their children.
Yeah, they couldn't share information, and so we can all see it. Now it's got to be copyright. For what? Just taking a couple of minutes of the video, for God's sake. Anyway, I liked it, so that's why it's in here, and I have to beat the copyright. It's just so boring having to break into your videos all the time, but one has to do these things. Otherwise I have to cut that 2 minutes out, and they're trying to explain to you that it was taking phosphate and nitrogen. They were getting the prisoners to get the and that's what they were doing, and then of course it broke down, and then of course it's abandoned. Crazy. I think that's long enough now. We've got to nearly a minute. Hopefully this is enough, because I might have to break in again if they carry on putting copyright on it, but hopefully we've done enough now.
Anyone who disagreed with the new junta quickly vanished. And where better to make people disappear than in the middle of a desert?
So not only were the buildings already there, but you didn't have to go far from the buildings, and you were in the marshiest, driest desert on the planet. It became the ideal place to lock people away from prying eyes.
I decided to break in just one more time, just hopefully this is the last time of breaking in. But you see, what it is this is what I've learned, this is what it is. So if you're monetized, they supposedly promote you. So when you're not monetized, they're not really promoting you, and you come under all of the ones that are promoted. And then when they copyright it, or they decide to flag it, or whatever they do, what to do to it, then you're even further down the list of the rest. And so that's why I go on about it being copyrighted, whether I was monetized or not. It just completely affects that video. And then they're just so biased, because I had this one video, and basically it was the same song, a non-copyright video, music that I've used masses, and they copyrighted 2 minutes of it, even though it was the same song that ran through the whole video. So can you work it out? And that's why they copyright things, because that video is then affected, or they affect it anyway by doing whatever they do to it, putting a flag on it, and so you know that it's restricted. You love doing that, because then they're not going anywhere near that video and you're dumped at the bottom. Well, I want my channel to do well. it's supposed to be a business, but they've made sure that once you're sitting here with it, and it was completely different even just a few years ago, you could talk about anything and you were allowed to say what you were, you know, flatties or whatever it was. But now all those things, they just go against you and you're flagged up and it's just pathetic, you know. And I keep saying that I'm not very happy here because I feel like I'm abused every day, and we'll be getting back to the video in a minute. But people, I feel like leaving, and then they get those comments and people say, no, don't, just keep going. But it's just so hard if you don't watch the videos, you don't like the videos, and that kind of, or share the videos. And I think, well, you know, 1 minute, you know, I've been viral. It doesn't really bother me that I'm not, just that it's so affected and they shadow ban the channel and so forth. So the only thing I can say is please share these videos. Yeah, please share the videos. Anyway, let's get back on with this video a bit because it was a break-in. It is a real place. There it is on the internet. Chabuco. Chakaboo. Oh, I can't even say it. But anyway, it's abandoned. But what it is to me is it's another abandoned place. It's another one in this regime. You know, they're going to have the story that it was because it was turned into a prison and rah-de-rah-de-rah, but it's another abandoned place, just like all the other places that are abandoned. It's not just in Chile, it's in America, it's in England, it's in Europe, it's in Africa, it's in Australia, it's everywhere. It's just everywhere. Anyway, let's carry on with the video.
And these homes that used to belong to individuals suddenly became great cells for prisoners.
Roberto Sepulveda is part of the organization that now preserves Chacabuco.
Yo tuve la oportunidad de andar por fuera de este lugar en los años 73. Y esto es exactamente como vemos en el cine, los campos de concentración alemanes, con cercos eléctricos, con perros entrenados para ¿cómo se llama?, evitar que se fueran a fugar, circundado con minas personales, con tanques haciendo presión, con aviones atravesando por sobre el campamento.
From the moment the prisoners arrived, conditions were brutal.
Cuando los prisioneros llegaron acá, con este sol que tenemos hoy día, los tenían horas parados en lo que fue después una cancha de fútbol, donde lo hacían desnudarse, vaciar sus bolsas que traían con sus cosas.
Most of the prisoners faced harassment, and few had enough rations to barely keep them alive.
So people who were held here.
Anyway, thanks for watching the video today. Lots of things there, all abandoned. The Jefferson Fort is abandoned, some of those bridges are abandoned, this place is abandoned, they got problems with the waterworks. Why not sort that out rather than having those fake other things that are on the news? Why do all that and leave us living like animals? They just don't care about us at all. They never have and they never will, and everything is just going to be a cover-up. I'd like to say more, but YouTube will probably strike me off. So, but I just find it incredible that we're just living amongst all this abandoned stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hi everybody. Sometimes I watch the things on the telly because the history things, because I think, oh, that's interesting, and then I go and look it up myself. So Exeter is down in Devon. It's in the west, what we call the West Country here in the UK. And what it actually says about Exeter is that it used to have Roman style masonry structures carrying water into the city. And then in the medieval times, they were lead pipes buried in trenches. Lead pipes buried in trenches taking water to the properties. I was a bit like, wow. The programme that I watched said the pipes go back to the 14th century saying that they were demolished in the 1770s and they were lead. And there you go, there's a little bit more information on it. So basically, by this church in Exeter, probably the cathedral, I think, I'm not sure, but it's a big church, there are these pipes. And I was watching it in this programme the other day, and look at that, Exeter Catacomb was built in 1835 to 1837. The first cemetery buildings to be built in Britain in an Egyptian style. Oh my god. Anyway, water pipes through lead pipes into the heart of the city. The pipes sometimes leaked, and repairs to the pipes could be carried out by digging them up, as we do today, to avoid disruption. The passages were vaulted. It is down some of these vaulted passageways that visitors are guided, because obviously you can go there. I'm going to show you a few pictures in a minute. Beneath Exeter's busy city lies a network of medieval passages built to house the pipes that brought clean water into the city. Wow, come on everybody. Everything, I mean, that was 2008. They were saying this on the BBC. But it's like the 14th century. We had running water. And then these are the tunnels. There's a little bit of information there. It's just incredible. Come on, the 14th century. I think that goes with the other one, but anyway, one before the last picture. Because Facebook never puts them out in the correct order that you put them in. Oh, let's just put that up a little bit so you can see that. So there you go. It was built in 1420s because they said it was the 1400s. But then we don't quite understand all about the Roman bit because the Romans are still here. So story of medieval plumbers who maintained a complex water supply system which was centuries ahead of its time. God, I'm pathetic. I just don't know how to even answer this. A unique network of subterranean tunnels, partly dating back to the 14th century, still lies beneath the streets of Exeter in Devon. And it once channeled fresh drinking water from the springs. But the thing is, they were in lead pipes. But anyway, bit more information there on it. Obviously you can stop and just read this if you want. I was a bit like, in the 14th century they had running water. So first of all I think it went to the church, and then as time went on they started supplying the people with fresh water, and you're like, the 14th century. I mean, it always depends, because obviously look, there is now the 1700s, but I've just shown you it said the 1400s. So I think I showed you that one, but I'm just going through some of the pictures that I took. And that one, it was a Roman town to start with, so the pipes were probably Roman, so they're even older than that. I bet you they're even older. They're probably back to the Roman time, whenever that was, and however long they were here. And I've done that one. So that's what it's for trains, or there you go. That's what a passage means. So that says that's the oldest street. There you go. This is the information. Obviously it's got a castle. Go. And then these are what the tunnels look like. So the Romans probably built them. We've got it back to the 14th century and they were demolished. Well, most of the pipes and everything, but those bits were left. But look at that. Do you think these went deeper? I mean, obviously they're just enough for a man to get through. They're not very big, these passageways, but they had pipes in them. I was like, wow, nothing ceases to amaze me anymore. 14th century, if not older, because the Romans did it whenever they were. But they're not going to tell you, are they? Look at that. So straight, really, you know, built so long ago. And survived the time. Survived to today. Nothing ceases to amaze you, does it? Maybe we were smaller people then, because they just about have to crawl through these tunnels on their knees. They're not, as I said, very big. So it was for drinking water in the 1400s, and they were older than that. I was just a bit shocked. I wonder what your thoughts were to that. Obviously, lead is not a good thing. There is a bit of information on these tunnels. I wonder if Mickey knew anything about these pipes. I don't remember us ever talking about them. It was only because I saw this program the other day about, you know, with these tunnels on it. But Mickey, if he didn't, he would have loved making this video with me and talking about this. I do actually miss him so much. This is really hard. I'm just trying to go with the flow, and sometimes the grief just overcomes me. It's horrible. I just miss him so much. But anyway, he would have loved this. But anyway, let's get on with the video. We've done that one, but these are the pictures that I took. We've done these, sorry, we're just showing them again. A grant in 1226. Nothing's changed then if it was a grant. So obviously lead was a different thing, and I'm quite surprised it didn't kill everybody then, but that's what they used. Lead in Exeter. We obviously weren't as backward as they're telling us that we were. Obviously these are the ones in Exeter. Medieval plumber. So, on finding all that, what's your thoughts then to lead pipes transporting water? I think what they said was basically that there would have been a pool of water coming in, and then another pool, and then because that water's coming in, it pushes the other pool of water up to the pipes, and then it takes the water through. So what's your thoughts then in Exeter? Look it up yourself. Very interesting. Thanks for watching.